Hello, welcome back to another neural nets and TensorFlow tutorial. My name is Ian, and today, hopefully you watched the first video of this because we're going to basically do that same training algorithm we did in the first video into TensorFlow now. So I kind of started off, so I'm initializing some data with a weight of 2 and a bias of 2. Well, no, let's go 3. And I have a learning rate already set up and a random number generator. So I'm just going to make some easy data for us to learn on. So random range, and we just kind of take all the x data, multiply it by weight, add a bias, and then add a little bit of noise in the background. So that's all we're doing right now. So if you remember, the first step to training is we have to get our prediction of our model. Get So how are we going to do this? Well, first we're going to need some placeholders to feed some data in. So just, yeah, okay, I'll just do that. tf.placeholder. We're just going to send in numbers or floats, so we don't need to worry about a shape. Otherwise, we would fit the shape to our matrix. Data type will be, let's go float. Okay, and our label will be our y data. tf.placeholder. And we got to make sure this is also a float, or else we're going to get some errors. Okay, so we need to get variables for our weights for a predictive model. So this is going to be our weight. Let's get a variable. And I'm just going to stochastically initialize it. So remember, stochastic just means random. So let's get my random number generator. Okay, so this is going to give us numbers between 0 and 1. And we'll do the same for the bias. In fact, I'm going to copy this. Okay, I think it will probably guess the data type, but let's just make sure anyways. And we gotta make sure it's a float. And let's give it a name. It's gonna help us with some debugging. So weights. And let's borrow some of this. Bias. Okay, so let's get our prediction, our function, prediction, and that is going to be tf.multiply. And what we're going to be multiplying is our x and our weight. Okay? And we're also going to be adding our bias at the end. So okay, so it makes sense. So we multiply x times our weight, and then we add the bias at the end. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is calculate our loss. So our loss is going to equal tf dot losses, I think, dot mean squared. Okay, got it. So our labels and then prediction. So what are our labels? Well, labels, and our prediction is going to be prediction. Okay, that's all we have to do. TensorFlow has a lot of built-in losses for us, but I did mean square last video, so I'm going to do that now. Step 3 is use our optimizer. So let's get an optimizer. I forget where this is. tf.train.gradient descent. No, I got that wrong. Gradient cannot find reference. Is it this? No. Pretty sure it is. Gradient descent optimizer. Thank you. Okay, we got our gradient descent optimizer. And in here we got to put our learning rate. We got it right up here. Learning rate. Now remember what our optimizer does. It minimizes our loss. Minimize. What are we minimizing? Our loss. So TensorFlow makes a lot of this training a lot easier. You don't have to worry about calculating gradients yourself or how to calculate the loss. It's all done for us. So pretty sweet. Okay. And also, our optimizer is also going to update our parameters for us. When it calculates the loss, it grabs all the variable it needs, and it's going to send that the gradient back and adjust it for us. So the lot's pretty easy. So now we just got to do our standard init. Global variables. There we go. Initializer. Okay. With tf.session. I covered this all in the last video, so if this isn't making any sense, the TensorFlow stuff, just go and check that out. Sesh. And first we got to run our initializer. Make sure our variables are initialized. And now, how was I going to do this? So I'm just going to go through every, instead of, trying to think of a way of putting this. I'm going to be calculating the loss for every piece of data instead of all of them. It's going to help a lot. For going in zip x data, y data, sesh.run, we're going to run our optimizer. So, oh yeah, let's get our feed dict, and we can just put this in easily. So for x, our placeholder, which is our key, our value is going to be x data. No, I'm using this one here. So, and for y, we're going to be using our y data. Okay. Now we also want to be able to diagnose any problems with our neural net. So I'm actually going to print some stuff that's going to help us see how healthy our training process is going. So what we need to do is get the loss. So print equals forget how to do string formatting. I think you just do that. Dot format sesh.run, and we're looking for our loss. Hopefully this is right because I'm copying it. Current weight, and we're going to look for W. Current bias is going to be the bias. I think I called this labels. Okay. I think that's it. Let's run it to make sure. TensorFlow is loading. Finish. Why didn't it print anything? Okay, sorry. So I made a couple errors. So first one, I didn't add the feed dict for the loss, and What else did I do? Maybe that was it. Okay. So right now I'm just gonna doing this whole thing just once. Now what you want to do is run it in epochs, or we're gonna run through our same data about 5 to 20 times. So for I in range, so this is going to be, let's do 5, let's keep it short. So 5 epochs. Okay. Oh yeah, I wrote bias here. That was another error I made. Yep. So it's actually not that much code to do this. So current weight. So loss is slowly going down. It's landed on uh, a, our weight was supposed to be 3, I think, and our bias was 2. So, well, we didn't run it very long because we got 62. If we ran this about 20 times, we should get pretty close to 0. You notice it's like catching on to the weight really quickly, and the bias is moving up very slowly. That's just the nature of gradients, and we'll get into that when we go to backpropagation. Uh, but here we're seeing the loss right here. Uh, what we're looking for is steady decrease down. We don't want it jumping all over the place. That's usually a sign that our learning rate is too high. And we also don't want it jumping down too fast. That's also a sign of uh, a learning rate that's too high. So let's run it at 20 epochs. And let's see how low we can get this. So just a reminder, um, when our weight and our biases were close to what the data was, our loss is low, and that means we can make accurate predictions for the future. So we're at 42, 3. Our bias is getting bigger, a little too slowly for my liking, and it seems to be finding a good number for the weight. Getting closer to our real numbers. These are our target numbers. So we got 3.02, 1.96, and a loss of 18. And it looked like it was still steadily going down. Um, it does slow down when it starts converging at 0. That's just because remember we're multiplying our learning rate by the gradient. And the gradient gets smaller and smaller as it gets closer to 0. And so the step size you take is going to be smaller. So we're multiplying our learning rate by even smaller numbers over and over. But it looked like it was still kind of going down. We don't have very much data. We only got about 1,000, so it's not going to go to 0 probably. But um, so that's just kind of a very bare bones example of how to use TensorFlow into machine learning. So next, we're going to get into neural nets instead of linear models, okay? So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff, and have a great day.